This video is target for the new IB economics syllabus. Um, so when you look at the syllabus, so there are sample questions provided by both standard level and also higher level. Now, however, there are no official answers provided by the authority. So today in this video, I'm going to show you the marking guidelines for both standard level and also the higher level questions. We will start with the standard level question 1A. In this question, it would like the candidate to discuss the price ceiling. And also, we are going to give two reasons why the government would set a price ceiling. Let's take a look at the marking guideline. First of all, candidates again must give the definitions of price ceiling. So that is, it's a maximum price set below the equilibrium price. So this is very simple, but candidate, you must give the definition correctly. Then you will score 1 mark. 1 mark. Next, you have to discuss and analysis the possible impacts of a price ceiling. Now, there are several ways to look into the possible impacts. First of all, you may talk about the advantages of the government. So why would a government set a price ceiling? There must be some positive effects. Now, say for example, the possible effects include the welfare. Now, think about it. When there is a maximum price, that means goods will become more affordable. So indeed, it would affect those stakeholders, say for example, those poor and disadvantages. Okay, or you may call them low income group. So think about it. So the government set a price ceiling is to make goods become more affordable. Okay, become more affordable. Now, in the question, you have to state the reasons, right? Okay, you have to state the reason. Okay, so for candidates who will achieve a higher marks, you must give some examples, that a government would like to set. Why the government would like to set? Say for example, make food more affordable. Make food more affordable for the low income groups. So this is one of the reasons why the government would set a price ceiling. Now, of course, for candidates who would like to achieve full mark, there must be evaluation. I would like to use the blue color to highlight something called evaluation. Now, say for example, think about it. There are some negative impacts caused by price ceiling. Say for example, inefficient resources allocation, and then underground parallel market, that means a black market. Non-price competitive rationing, that means say for example, so people maybe will go to line up, so line up for food, blah blah blah. So these are some negative effects. There are some negative effects caused by price ceiling. But still, think about it. Why would the government still set such kind of price ceiling? regarding these negative effects. Think about it. It is because the price ceiling, this policy, is much better than others. There are other policies that can help to deal with the food problem, right? There are other policies such as giving money to those income group, or even the government would like to provide food instead of giving this job to the private market. But still, the government think that price ceiling will be a much better way than these policy, even though it might cause inefficient resources allocation and also black market, blah blah blah. So this is what we call evaluation. Evaluation. So we are going to evaluate that compared to other policies, price ceiling is much better, even though there are some negative impacts. So that's what we call evaluation. Last but not the least, you must give diagrams, right? You must give diagrams. So in the diagram, it costs 2 marks. 2 marks for a diagram. So what can they need to do? You need to draw a demand curve, supply curve, price at equilibrium, price at quantity equilibrium. The quantity at equilibrium, with a price ceiling, which is a maximum price, below the equilibrium. So this one would be the quantity demand, and this one would be the quantity supplied equal to the quantity transacted. So that's why there are inefficient resources allocation, right? As you can see, why there's an inefficient allocation. So this one costs another 2 marks. Because here, this one would be the marginal benefit of receiving the goods. However, so this is the marginal cost of providing the goods. As long as the marginal benefit is greater than the marginal cost at the quantity transacted, so we call it inefficient allocation of resources. So if you can talk about these, there will be another 2 marks for the evaluation part. So that's all for question for paper 1A. Question 1B. This time we have to make use of the real-world examples. I'm going to talk about one example that are very common among the world. That is called rent control. Rent control. Now, so I would use rent control to illustrate the answer. But remember that when you go to the examination, you have to give more than one examples. There are other examples. Say for instance, for part A, we've talked about the food provision, right? So you may talk about in some African countries, they use they set a price ceiling for food. Now, if you recall, we have already gave the definitions, those theories, those examples in part A, but still they will be rewarded in part B. So you have to do it again. So you may just copy. You may just copy what we did in part A. Do it again. Do it again with those definition, theories, examples. Say for example, the provision of fruit, blah blah blah. As you can see, there are marks. So in this part B, I would like to focus on the term stakeholders. So how many stakeholders we are going to talk about? There are several common stakeholders that candidates may refer to. First of all, must be consumers. Number 2, producers. Number 3, the government. And number 4, the society. So these are 4 common stakeholders you may talk about. So we may refer to the diagram. And we can talk about a little bit more about the consequences. So if you recall how to draw a diagram, so the demand curve, supply curve, price, quantity, and here. So when you draw a price ceiling, okay, so when you draw a price ceiling, this is the quantity transact, okay, this is the quantity demand, okay. So for the original one, this would be the PE and QE, and you can see that the quantity transact drop, right? The quantity transact drop, okay. So let's take a look at the consumers, okay. For the consumers, let's figure it out. First of all, you can see that the consumer surplus drop, okay. So say the original consumer surplus would be like this, okay. The original consumer surplus would be like this. But right now, the consumer surplus will remain, okay, here. This part, okay. Think about it, because there is a drop in the quantity. So this is the new consumer surplus. So for consumers, overall, in overall sense, they will suffer, right? Because there is a drop in the consumer surplus. Now, however, as we mentioned, there are some people who gain, okay, because think about it, because they can pay a lower price. They can pay a lower price. So there must be some people gain in this setting of price ceiling. So that is for those low income group. So they may gain, okay, they may gain because they can pay a lower price, okay, with a lower cost of living, such as the rent control. So they might gain, right? But overall the consumers suffer, okay. Now the same case goes to the producer. As you can see, right, the quantity transact drop, right? So the revenue, okay, price drop, quantity transact drop, so their revenue suffer, okay. So we can just simply mark it down. Price drop times the quantity drop, so the total revenue drop. So the producers will suffer. Okay. For the government, think about it. There are some costs, okay, something that they have to target, okay. Say for example, the parallel market. Okay. So think about it. The government, they have to pay a higher cost, okay, to tackle these problems. Okay. But on the other hand, think about it. There are some, benefits obtained by the government. Say for example, in political sense, okay, so the poor people, they might welcome this policy, right? Okay. For the society, okay, for the society, that they must be suffering, okay, because you can see there is a deadweight loss. This area is the dead weight loss. As I have discussed this one, because you can see the marginal benefit is greater than the marginal cost. So that's why there is a deadweight loss. So this one we can talk about. So this is called the welfare loss, okay? The welfare loss, or you may call deadweight loss. So these are the impact to different stakeholders. But if you do the answer like this, the maximum mark is 10 marks. 10 marks out of 15. Because the examiner should also take a look, there are other things that you have to talk about, including the short run and long run effects. And number 2, the significance of the problem and benefits. Okay, so we will mark it down. Okay, so for people, okay, they would like to achieve more than 10 marks. There are 2 more things you have to talk about. First of all, the long term implications. The second one is the relative importance of the problem cost and the benefit brought by the price ceiling. Okay, so these are the 2 major important parts for the evaluation. Now, this one is from the standard level Okay, paper 2 question. Okay, so it talks about we have to make use of the poverty cycle diagram. So I have put it here. Okay, poverty cycle diagram. So candidates, you are suggested to memorize this diagram. Now we have to make use of the poverty cycle diagram to talk about the FDI. The FDI, the relationship between FDI and economic development. Now first, ignore the diagram. Okay, I would like to talk about what is the meaning of FDI. So first of all, candidate must give the definition of FDI. Okay, that means there will be a committed investment from the foreign countries. Okay, that's what we call the FDI. And the second thing, we have to relate okay, the FDI and the economic development. Okay, so we can make use of the ADAS model to talk about it. So that is, if you recall, AD consists of CIG, okay, and NX. So in the FDI, it talks about the investment. So there would be, when there is an increase in investment, so the AD curve will shift to the right. The AD curve will shift to the right, and this would brought about the increase in the aggregate output. Okay, or in the market guideline, this is called the real national output. Okay, this is Y. Okay, labeled in the x-axis. Okay, here. Okay, as you can see, right, when there is a shift AD to the right hand side, then the national income would raise. So this is the relationship between them. Okay, so we can mark it down. So we have to talk about the relationship here. Okay, the relationship. That is, okay, the increase in investment would boost the AD and also the national income. So next, so there are much more things we have to talk about. That is, we have to make use of the poverty cycle. Okay, so the poverty cycle. Okay, what does it mean? Okay, it talks about that. It's a cycle. Okay, it's a cycle. We will start with low income. Then, okay, people won't have saving. Okay, they won't invest. Say for example, they won't go to study. Okay, they won't go to school. If they don't go to school, they don't have skills. Then the economic sucks. Okay, when the economic sucks, I can go back. Right? Okay. Okay. So right now, this time the FDI will target here. The FDI will target about the investment. Okay. So when you answer the question, you change all the low words to the high. High investment, high physical growth, high human capital, high natural capital, high productivity, high economic growth, high income, high saving. And you will become a cycle, goes over again and again. Now, of course, okay, you cannot just do it like this. You have to talk about these. Okay, say why? Okay, how come when there is a high investment, how come the physical capital, human capital, natural capital will grow, right? So we have to talk about, okay, say for example, you can talk about the job creation. Okay? You can talk about the investment in human growth, okay? Blah, 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 okay? So here, okay, so you have to pinpoint it very well. And of course, okay, for this diagram, you have to draw it. And also, you have to, make use of the verbal elaboration, okay? So there might also you need to do the verbal elaboration for the application of the diagram. So here, so this is the verbal elaboration. So that's it for paper 2 standard level question. Right now we will move on to the higher level. Paper 1 part A. we have to talk about two tools used by the central bank, okay, for the monetary policy, okay. So there are a lot of tools you can talk about. So say for example, first of all, it would be about the the margin requirement, okay, the margin requirement. So that is, you may also call it the required reserve ratio. Okay. The second thing, you may make use of the discount rate. The discount rate. The third one, okay, it would be, of course, printing money. The last one, we call it open market operations. That means, you buy bonds or sell bonds. Okay, open market operations. So let me mark it down. This one would indeed talks about you buy the central bank. Okay, the central bank buy or sell bonds. So these are the four ways. These are the four tools. Okay, these are the four tools commonly used by the central bank. Now today I'm going to just talk about one. Okay, one for elaboration. Okay, for elaboration. Now because the question talks about is a kind of expansionary. So these again I will delete. Okay, these I will delete. Okay, so we'll just talk about how the use of the tools, okay, would expand. Okay, would expand the business. Okay, so this one expansionary, that means, okay, y increase. Okay, so let's take a look. So first of all, we define what is the meaning of margin requirements. Okay, so when the margin requirement is lowered, that means conduct. Okay, how to conduct it? This time we will have to lower it. Okay, conduct. And then the borrowers, they are going to borrow more. Okay, so this would be the consequence of the monetary tool, of the tools. And then next we have to talk about, okay, why is it expansionary? Okay, why is it expansionary? So the money supplied would raise. Okay, so when the money supply will raise, this is what we call expansionary, in the sense that the money supply will raise, the interest rate would drop, and then investment would raise, and national income would raise. So this one, these four steps, okay, you must include in the answer. Okay, let me repeat. So when there are more borrowers, the money supply will increase. Money supply increase, interest rate drop, investment increase, and the national income increase. Okay, that's why we call it expansionary monetary policy. Now this is one of the ways to answer the question. Okay, so so I've put down the answer for margin requirement. Okay, there are other three, like lowering the discount rate is a kind of expansionary. Printing money, of course, is expansionary. Buying bonds, okay, buying bonds, not selling bonds. Buying bonds, okay, buying bonds. The central bank buy bonds from, okay, yes, okay, the central bank buy bonds. Okay, so these are the monetary tools you can talk about. Okay, this one is also paper 1. Okay, it's actually higher level, paper 1. But this one is for part B. Okay, paper 1 part B is a 15 marks question. We have to talk about the effectiveness of the monetary policy of raising the unemployment. Okay, that means, okay, we have to make, when the Y increase, then it will make, the labor, okay, demand for labor. The demand for labor will increase, right? So the key lies on, okay, whether the monetary policy can make the Y increase. Okay. So this time I will just show you the levels. Okay, I will just show the levels. Okay, so you have a better understanding of what you need to do. Okay, what you need to do. So first of all, you have to talk about what is the meaning of monetary policy. Okay, so you have to give example like interest rate, exchange rate, blah blah blah. Okay, so these are what we call monetary policy. So next, if you want to get level 2, you have to achieve the policy objective. Okay, the policy objective. Say for example, the R would drop. Okay, the R would drop. This one. The interest rate would drop. Okay, so the drop in interest rate, will lead to more people to borrow money, right? More people will borrow money for doing business. So this is what we call level 2. So you might apply it. Okay, so when the interest rate drop, more people will borrow money, blah blah blah. Okay, so okay, for level 3, so you have to relate it. If you recall this one, y. Okay, what is the meaning of y? Y equals to c plus I plus g plus nx. So the key lies on investment, right? Investment. People borrow money for business. The key lies on investment. So in that, a 4 interest rate would, think about it, when R drop, investment raised, and the AD raised. This one, AD. The AD raised, okay. So for level 3 answers, okay, you have to talk about it. Okay. Now next, you may also talk about the consumption. Okay, think about it. When R drop, the cost of borrowing money drop, right? The cost of borrowing money drop. Okay, so it might also stimulate consumption. This one, consumption. Okay, it might also stimulate consumption. Now, the last one. Okay, the last one for level 4, you have to make judgment. Okay, that means okay, lower interest rate might not be very effective. Okay, so here, okay, the answer. Say for example, why not? Okay, this depends, right? Say for example, okay, in Japan, there were liquidity trap, okay? So if you encounter liquidity trap, then no, okay? Then no, then you cannot do it, okay? So this is all for this part, okay, liquidity trap. It depends on the understanding, okay, of the economic syllabus and also what happened in the world. This is for the higher level paper 2 question. We have to make use of the exchange rate diagram here. So we might refer to this diagram later on. Okay, exchange rate diagram. So we have to talk about why, okay, an increase in the interest rate will prevent the fall in the value of the currency of Nigeria. Okay, so this one, naira, is the currency used in that country. Okay, now first of all, we have to talk about what is the meaning of increased interest rate. Okay, think about what is interest rate. Interest rate, that means, okay, money. Okay, when you save money in the bank, so there are return, right? There are return. So this kind of return is the return for deferring the consumption. Think about it. When you save money in the bank, you defer your consumption, right? So, and then the bank will give you some rewards for deferring the consumption. So these rewards, we call it interest rate. Okay. So you have to define the meaning of interest rate. Okay, it's a kind of reward for deferring the consumption. So when there is an increase in interest rate, that means, okay, there are rewards. Okay, there is an increase in the reward. That means, okay, more people, they will transfer the money to Nigeria to receive more reward, right? So how to do it? Think about it. How to do it? How do you transfer it? So when we talk about transfer, that means you have to convert the money into naira. Okay, you have to convert your US dollar into naira, and you put it in the Nigerian banks for more reward. So when you convert that money, that means the demand raise. The demand raise. When the demand raise, of course, when the demand raise, of course, the value of naira will rise, other than fall in value. Other than fall in value, okay? So that's the answer. That's the answer, okay? Increase in demand. Now, for higher achievers, they can talk about more. So this one is usually omitted by students. And then the increase in interest rate would lower inflation. Would lower inflation with, and then that means you can become more price competitive and increase your export. It would also raise the demand for currency. This is another angle, but it's often omitted by students. Okay, so bear in mind. Okay, bear in mind. Okay, other than these savers, okay, they transfer money to Nigeria for high rewards. Also, you have to talk about the exports. Okay, you have to talk about the exports. We will go to the last part of this video, that is the higher level PP3 question. Okay, we have to recommend one policy, one only, to tackle the rise in the world price. Now, this refers to the last chapter of this new syllabus. Okay, that is, candidates, you have to understand the international trade. You have to understand the international trade. Now, there are a lot of policies you can do. Let's say, for example, you may do subsidy. Okay, you may do subsidy. You may do, diversify the business. Okay, you don't do coffee business anymore. Okay, you may do other business. Okay, so you may also make use of the supply side policy. The supply side policy, okay, to raise the technology. Okay, to raise the productivity. Blah blah blah. There are a lot of tools that you might answer, but this time you can only pick one tool as stated by the question. So I would just make use of the most simple tool. Think about it. There is a drop in the world price. There is a drop in the world price. So I will just make use of one simple policy, that is, okay, make use of tariff to push it back. Okay, to push back okay, the price, right? Okay, so think about why would I do that? Because, okay, there are protocol. Okay, there are marking guidelines. Okay, tariff. Okay, there are things in the textbook. Okay, so we just need to answer what are inside the textbook. Okay, then you can score full mark. Okay, so there are several things you have to talk about. First of all, consumers, producers, government, balance of trade. First of all, you have to talk about the effects to the stakeholders. The effect to the stakeholders. Okay. So in that, you may refer these to the textbook, or you may just simply refer to this diagram. Okay, then you know the effects, right? Say, for example, there's a higher price. Okay, there's a higher price. Okay, so that's it. Okay. Now we may do a little bit more. Okay. So this one will be the tax revenue. Tax revenue. Okay, this one is tax revenue, and these two would be the dead weight loss. Dead weight loss. Okay, and then this one would be increase in producer surplus. Okay, and then the quantity transferred. Okay, the import volume. Think about it. The import volume. Before the drop in world prices. Okay, you do it here and import here, right? So the import volume dropped from AD. The import volume dropped from AE. Okay, here you may see. Okay, drop from AB to EF. Okay, drop from AB to EF. The import volume drops, and the most importantly is about the consumer surplus also drop, right? The consumer surplus in the good old days is starting from here. P1AB. Okay, this one is the consumer surplus. Okay, so right now it drops. Okay, drops to here. So there is a big drop in consumer surplus here. So this one with the drop. This one will be the drop in the consumer surplus. So these are the effects of the tariff to stakeholders. Now next, okay, we have to do some evaluation. Okay, evaluation. Now first of all, because it talks about country X, right? Country X. I don't know. Okay, if whether it's developed or developing countries. Okay, Also, you can talk about percentage of GDP, okay, as long as you know, okay. So what is that country, okay? And this one, I would like to talk about this one, the elasticities, okay. So in this new syllabus, they stress on the elasticities, okay. So there are two things you might want to talk about. The first one is the Marshall linear conditions, okay. The Marshall linear conditions. So that is if the sum of the elasticities is greater than 1, then it will improve the current account, okay, under the depreciation, okay. So you might talk about this one. It depends on what is the minimum country risk. It is not given in the sample question. The number 2, you can talk about the J curve, okay. So because in the syllabus, in the sample question, okay, I don't know what is the country risk, okay, so I cannot, okay, apply these, okay, right now, okay, but still, you might need to think about, okay, for the elasticities, you might talk about the Marshall linear conditions, okay, and also J curve. So these are all, okay, these are all the suggested answer. Okay? If you want to download the essays, okay, so read the comments below and you know how to download the essays, okay, that's all.